Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. This video is something that is requested more times than I can count. On one hand, I get asked about this particular store a lot, but also a lot of you seem to want to see me do a 24-hour MRE. And I finally come back around to make another one happen. Now I did a 24-hour MRE a year or so ago from Walmart, and this is only the second time I've been able to do this. Now I was not sure that this was going to happen. In fact, it didn't even start out as a deliberate attempt. Recently, I was at my local Dollar Tree and I was just picking up a couple of things. I grabbed an item or two off the shelf and realized that I had enough for a couple of starts to a couple of good MREs. But before it was over with, I realized I had everything I need to do a 24-hour MRE. Now, one of the things that I've always run into issues with is finding good items for breakfast. It's very difficult to find any kind of traditional breakfast item that is shelf stable, and usually the option is things like Pop-Tarts. Well, I didn't want to do Pop-Tarts. I mean, I very well could have done that because they did have them at Dollar Tree, but I think I managed to find something that works just as well, if not better. So we're going to do this video in 3 phases. We're going to do breakfast, we're going to do lunch, and we're going to do dinner. And this is going to be in 3 different sittings because I don't like the idea of just taking a few bites and then letting everything else go to waste. So we're going to kick everything off with breakfast. But before we get started, let me introduce you to the Dad Budget Adventures Homemade MRE Menu DT1/24. This thing is super packed out. There is so much stuff in here. In fact, I ended up having to bag it in 2 separate bags. So we'll show the one bag that covers breakfast and lunch. We'll have another bag for dinner. Now, because Dollar Tree videos tend to get a lot more views than some of my other stuff, and some of you may be here for the first time as a result, I'm going to cover the rules for how I make my MREs. Other than the fact that for entertainment purposes only, I try to source everything for a single MRE from one store. Rule number 1 is everything in here has to be able to be eaten straight out of the package. Nothing that requires reconstitution or absolutely has to be cooked. It doesn't mean we're going to eat it without cooking it. It just means it needs to be able to be. Rule number 2 is everything in here has to have at least a 1-year best by date or shelf life from the day that I buy it. 2 reasons for that. One is that it just makes sure that if this thing sits on a shelf for a year, that when I finally get around to eating it, it's going to be as fresh as possible. The other reason for that is that it just makes me work a little bit harder and I don't just grab the first thing I come to. And finally, rule number 3 is the menu. Of course, with this being a 24-hour MRE, this one's going to be just a little bit different because breakfast does not follow the menu rules, but our other 2 meals must include an entree, a side, a walking around snack, a dessert, and a beverage. So without any further ado, let's open this bag and see what we have for breakfast. All right, so the first item on top here, this I thought was really cool. I got a bag of Cinnamon Toast Crunch cereal. One of the cool things about this is that you can eat this cereal dry and it'll be perfectly fine. If you happen to have some milk or if you want to pack dry milk to go with it and then just add water, you can do that too. But cereal, it makes for a good breakfast food. It's got all the added vitamins and nutrients and everything that they always bragged about when I was a kid. But that's going to be our main course for breakfast. Now, the great thing about this too is that if you don't eat everything in here, because this is 2.5 servings in here, you can always zip it up because it has a zip top bag and you can take the rest with you for a snack for later. Now, to go with that, I got something else because I wanted to make this more of a complete breakfast. And since there's no shelf-stable scrambled eggs laying around, I got one of these breakfast essentials from Carnation. This is an already mixed up drink. It's in a small package, so you don't have to worry about this being a whole lot of extra weight to carry around. But this is the rich milk chocolate flavor. So breakfast this morning is going to consist of Cinnamon Toast Crunch and Carnation breakfast. Yes, it's going to be a lot of sugar, so if you have concerns with that, then you're going to have to find other options. For those of us that don't have that, I think this is going to be a pretty satisfactory breakfast. So let's open up this bag of Cinnamon Toast Crunch and see what we've got here. All right, so in the bag, we've got a pretty substantial portion of cereal. It's got that really good cinnamon sugar smell to it. Pour out a little bit here, see what we got. Now, I'd be lying if I told you I've never had Cinnamon Toast Crunch, but we're going to go ahead and eat it anyway. It's been a long time since I've had this, and I've forgotten how good this cereal is. That's good stuff. Another bite. Let's try our Carnation Breakfast Essentials. The great thing about this is it doesn't require any mixing. You don't have to do anything with it. Just shake it up a little bit. You don't have to refrigerate it. You don't have to do anything at all with this. Just throw it in your bag, and you're good to go. And on top of that, this has 10 grams of protein. So what you're not getting with certain nutrients out of that cereal, you can make up for with this. It's got a decent chocolate smell to it. It's got that smell that's usually associated with stuff like this and with protein drinks. But let's give this a taste to see what we got. That's not bad. It tastes just like you're drinking chocolate milk for the most part. You got just a little bit of that taste of protein, but mostly this just tastes like chocolate milk. But there's something else going on here that seems to me like a really good option, at least to try it. Maybe awful, may work out. Let's make a bowl. I mean, y'all had to know I was gonna do this, right? So maybe we don't bring milk on the trip, but we've got this, and this tastes like milk, and you've also got other flavors if you want to try that. I'm really curious to see how the chocolate flavor goes with that. I've never had chocolate milk with Cinnamon Toast Crunch, but we're about to. There you go. How about that? Looks like those cereals I used to get when I was a kid, the chocolate cereals that would turn the milk chocolate. But I've got to try this. This, I think, is going to be more than satisfactory. Here we go. Oh, yeah. That dog will hunt right there. Get you some of that. That right there, that is a good breakfast option. All right, that's it for breakfast for our 24-hour MRE from Dollar Tree. I've got some things to take care of. I'll be back in a few hours for lunch. See you then. All right, we are back for lunch. I had so many things to do that I ran off every bit of what I ate for breakfast, so I'm absolutely famished. And I'm looking forward to this because I really wanted to try a different approach with the items that I picked out for lunch. One reason for that was that when I started searching for items, I found something I really wanted to use, but I couldn't find a single serving companion to go with it. So let's look in our lunch selection for our 24-hour MRE from Dollar Tree and see what we've got for our lunch special. So the item that I got because I really just wanted to try it was this Pasta Zing spaghetti. It's pre-cooked spaghetti in a pouch. I have never seen spaghetti noodles like this. I get all kinds of other kinds of noodles, but never have I seen spaghetti noodles. So nice job, Dollar Tree. You showed me something I've never seen before. This is going to be the base for our meal. And because I couldn't find any spaghetti sauce in a small enough container to go with that, I started thinking, what else could I do that would be a little bit different? And with this being lunch, and in a lot of places, lunch is a little on the lighter side. So to be featured with that spaghetti, I picked up a pack of Bumblebee roasted garlic and herb tuna. Now, you guys know I try to stay away from tuna pouches when I can. The reason for that is that in most homemade MRE videos that are out there on YouTube, this is dinner, just a pack of tuna. And while this is enough when it comes to the nutrients and everything that you need, it's not going to hold you over for very long. It's a little bit of protein. It'll last a little longer than some things. But in about an hour, I'm going to be looking for something else to eat. So I don't mind so much using these as an accompaniment to something, but I don't want this to be all I've got for dinner. Now, to make this really round out properly, I did something I don't normally do with these videos because, as I said at the beginning, I like to make sure I get everything I can from a single source. But I wanted to make sure that for this particular meal, I had everything I needed to make this work in the best way possible. So what I did was I took one of my little Mylar bags and I filled this with Parmesan cheese, salt, and pepper because I wanted to make sure that I had something to properly season this with. Now, before we go any further, I want to go ahead and get these items in the trucker's lunchbox so that they can be warming up. And then we're going to look and see what else is in this bag. Now, if you're new to the channel, if this is your first of my videos, any item that I use in the video, like these sporks or that trucker's lunchbox, I try to put an affiliate link in the description box down below because I do get a lot of questions about these items. So if you're curious about these things, just go down in the description box and there's a link that will take you to Amazon and show you the exact item that I'm using. So the next thing in here is our side to go with our pasta and tuna. I found these Colombina Club crackers. Now these things are packaged in this little pack and I can already feel that there's some crumbs in here. There's been some damage to this particular pack, but the rest of it feels like it's pretty solid. Club crackers are always a good choice, and it's not often that I find something that's packaged like this that I can throw into one of these meals, so I always like to include things like this when I can. Next up is our walking around snack, and fortuitously, because we're having pasta today, I managed to find these combos Pizzeria baked pizza snacks. So I was glad to find these. Also, Dollar Tree is the only place where I find combos that are packaged like this. Now, I think this is more than one serving, but the other option is usually a giant bag. And combos are such a cool thing to put in these kits. A lot of military MREs include combos. Now, they're packaged differently, but that's exactly what they are. For our dessert, I found this So Natural freeze-dried mixed fruit. I love freeze-dried fruit. One day, I'm gonna have a freeze dryer. If y'all saw my last video where I was experimenting with dehydrating things, I do my own dehydrated fruit, but I would really love to be able to freeze dry things. But this looks like it has bananas, strawberries, and blackberries, and I like all three of those things. And last but not least, we have our beverage, which in this case is a pack of Dole strawberry pineapple drink mix. I have a struggle a lot of times when it comes to drink mixes. You guys know I don't really care for artificial sweeteners, and most of these have artificial sweetener in them. But also, one of the reasons I started making my homemade MREs was that I don't like a lot of the items that are included in prepackaged MREs. And one of the reasons for that is that most of the drinks they put in these seem to be either grape or raspberry, and I hate both of those flavors. But one of the reasons for that is apparently a whole lot of people like those flavors because the majority of flavors of these things seem to be some variant on that too. So I always like when I can find something that's in a flavor I like. So now it's time to start digging into some of these items. The first thing we're gonna do though is we're gonna mix up this drink just in case one of these things is nasty and I gotta wash it out of my mouth. I got some more out of my fine selection of Redneck Crystalware. It's always interesting to me when I see a flavor like strawberry that mixes clear. I like the lack of artificial coloring in it. It's just a little strange to see. All right, we're gonna set that aside. We'll try that in a minute. First thing we're gonna try is our side, these Colombiana Club Crackers. If these are good, this might be another one of those things that I'm gonna start packing regularly into my kits. A lot like those snack time crackers. Man, I love those things. Oh, this one is mangled. Oh my goodness, it's so smushed. I think I tried to put too much in this bag, and I probably did this. We got a good chunk of cracker right here, so let's give this a try. It's got a decent smell to it. It's not really buttery. It's almost a sweet smell, but let's give that a try, see what we got. It tastes a lot like your standard club crackers. It's a little drier and grittier, but not overly so. And it does, on that first bite, there is a little bit of a strange sweetness to it. But then again, maybe I've got drink powder on my fingertips and I'm just smelling that when I take a bite. All right, let's give this drink a try. Cleanse the palate a little bit, and we're gonna try those combos. It's not a bad beverage. It's got a refreshing enough flavor to it. I don't really smell strawberry. There's a little bit of a hint of pineapple. Very artificial smelling, but not too bad. That's pretty tasty. All right, let's try these combos. Ooh, them combos smell good. It's got that Italian seasoning aroma to it. Let's get us a couple of these. Give that a try. That's a pretty decent snack right there. Let's wash that out. Ooh, those things are salty. I have a feeling this is gonna be another one of those high sodium meals. All right, so now it's time to dig into our entree. Let's get this thing plated up and see what we've created. Get that opened up. It's got that same smell that I get out of most of these pre-cooked pastas. It's not an unpleasant smell. It's a very kind of weedy smell. Let's get this out onto the plate, get a look at it. It looks pretty good. Now it says on the package, this is supposed to be like 2 servings. And I don't know anybody that looks at that and says that's 2 servings of pasta. Let's give the pasta a try by itself. Not much flavor to it because there's no salt or anything on it, but it's got a really good texture to it. I'm surprised. The Trucker's Lunchbox really just got it exactly where it needed to be. All right, let's add the rest of our stuff. Let's open this up. The thing that got me with this, they had some other flavors, but I saw the roasted garlic and herb, and I figured that would be a really good option with that pasta. It's got a strong smell. I can smell it all the way out here, but it doesn't smell unpleasant. It's a little bit fishy, but mostly I'm getting the garlic and herbs. All right, let's get this in here on top of our pasta. I want to try the tuna just by itself too. That's pretty good. It's got a good flavor to it. It doesn't have any kind of oil or anything with it. It's a very dry tuna. Most tuna comes in water or oil. This dish probably would have benefited from having that oil in there, but it's not there. So I can't just mix the tuna in and hope that it's gonna really just flavor everything else. So it's a good thing I made my little seasoning pack. So let's get that open. Now you could do this same thing if you had some of the packs of Parmesan and red chili flake and stuff like that you get from a pizza restaurant. I didn't happen to have any on hand, so I just made my own. So let's get this out on here. Add this little pack of yumminess. Yeah, I think knowing what I know now, I would also pack just a little pouch of olive oil or something like that to go with this. Something to add just a little bit of moisture and give something for the pasta and the tuna and the seasoning and everything to just kind of grab hold of. let's get us a bite of this. I want to make sure we get some tuna and some pasta, all of our seasoning. There we go. All right, going in. Bon appetit. It's got almost a scampi type flavor to it. I don't hate that at all. For something I put together from Dollar Tree, that's good stuff. I'd make this again just to eat lunch. Yeah, that ain't bad at all. I'm not even going to try to start getting creative with mixing things into this. This is good as it is. That is definitely a viable option, and it is 100 times better than I expected it to be, knowing where I got it from. All right, I could just stand here and shovel the rest of that in, but then I got to edit all that out later, so I'm going to stop right there. But I am going to finish after I turn the camera off. So if you're enjoying this content so far, please don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and hit that notification bell so you can be made aware of all upcoming videos. And if there's a store that you'd like me to check out and try to build a homemade MRE from, please leave me a comment down below and tell me about it. I got one last thing to try for lunch. Don't go anywhere because we still have dinner. Let's tear into our So Natural freeze-dried mixed fruit. So natural. Yep, we got, it looks like whole strawberries in here. They're small, but it looks like the entire strawberry. So we got a little bit of everything. Let's give it a go. So I have to say, so far, I am more than satisfied with this MRE. For something that I built at Dollar Tree, it has been so good. We've got one more meal to go before we're done. Who knows what's going to happen then? Let's take a few hours off. I'll go do a little bit of editing on this video, and I will see you guys back here for dinner. See ya. We are back and it's dinner time. I hope that you guys are finding this video as fun and interesting to watch as I had making it. This has been so crazy good so far, given that all this stuff came from Dollar Tree. I did not expect things to go as well as they have to this point. Maybe I'm speaking too soon. So with that having been said, let's get in here and see what we've got for dinner from Dollar Tree. So this is bag number 2 of our 24-hour MRE from Dollar Tree, and look how packed out this is. There is so much food in this MRE, it's not even funny. For our entree, I have been wanting to try this for a while, but I've never been able to find it with the proper shelf life. Usually when I'm seeing this at Dollar Tree, it's got a 2 or 3 month Best By date. So fortunately, I managed to find one that fits within the rules. What I got was the Hereford Chili con Carne. Unlike a lot of the Hereford meat products that I've found, this is a relatively moderate serving. Usually it's a giant serving that's intended to feed more than one person, but this chili is packaged in a serving that's a little more reasonable for one. Now, on the back, it says that this is 3 servings. I don't know who's going to take 6 ounces of chili and split this between 3 people. It's just weird. This is definitely a single serving package, and when you compare it to the larger packages of other stuff they've got, it just doesn't make any sense. So we also got to figure out if it's any good. I've had a couple of their products. Some of them are pretty good. Some of them are okay at best. I haven't had one yet that I just didn't like though. So we're going to find out if their chili is any good. I've already got the trucker's lunchbox warming up here behind me, so I'm going to get this in there and let's get it heating up while we explore the other things that are in that bag. So as our side to go with the chili, I decided to go with something very unusual. I managed to find these Muffin King corn muffins. Now they are relatively small, so I included 2 of them in this particular MRE, but I think that'll be a great accompaniment to go with that chili. I mean, besides crackers, there's not many things that go better with chili than some good cornbread. Let's hope this is good cornbread. To go with that, I wanted to make sure that we had something that kind of rounded things out. And this is something that you would find in traditional military MREs a lot. And I've had a lot of people telling me I need to try this. Velveeta cheese sauce. And this is the jalapeno variety. So we're going to add this in with our chili and our cornbread. And we're going to have what I hope to be an amazing, or okay, let's not shoot too high. I hope we're going to have a really good chili cheese pie. Next up, we have our walking around snack. And for that, I found this massive pouch of applesauce. This thing is gigantic. This is applesauce with strawberries and bananas. Usually when I'm finding these, they're about 1/3 this size. This is gonna be a great thing to have on hand if you wanna just have something to kind of give you a little bit of extra boost in between meals. For our dessert, I found this really cool little cherry mixed fruit cocktail cup. It looks like it's got apples and maybe pears, pineapple and cherries in juice. And it's even got its own little spoon built into the top. It's a good, sturdy feeling package. I'm not feeling like this is going to just get squished and go all over the inside of my meal, but this ought to be a pretty good way to close out this meal. For our beverage, we have another one of the Dole strawberry and pineapple drink mixes that we had with our lunch. I didn't see the need to buy another entire package of drink mix. We're going to just take a second pouch of the same thing I've already bought. Now, we've talked before in the past about bonus items in our MREs. If you want something to bump up the calories, to fill your belly a little bit more, what have you, to find extra things to throw in there just as a little extra bonus. We've also talked about thinking outside the box with what section we find these things in. And a while back, I explored the idea of going to the baking section to find nuts as opposed to going to the snack section and getting nuts that are packaged as snacks. What I've found is that if you buy them in the baking section, you can get the same nuts for a lower price. Now, given that this is at Dollar Tree, it doesn't really make that big of a difference, but I did find in their baking section these chopped pecans. So I got these as an extra little walking around snack so that we can have just a little something extra. So that is everything that's in the bag for dinner for our Dollar Tree 24-hour MRE. So let's get in here and start trying some of these things and see how they are. As usual, the first thing I'm gonna do is mix up the drink. That way, if we get a hold of something nasty, we've got something to wash it out with. All right, let's get that in there, get it mixed up. In case of emergency, drink from the glass. Set that aside. Let's get started. So the first thing I want to try is one of these Muffin King cornbread. This is honey cornbread. And I think the sweetness of the honey and that cornbread is going to add just the right touch to that chili. But I want to try the cornbread by itself to see how it tastes on its own. So you see, we've got just this little mini muffin with a little wrapper on it. It smells pretty good. It doesn't really have any kind of weird package smell or anything like that to it. It's got a very enticing aroma to it. It smells like it's going to taste pretty good. So let's give it a try and see. It's pretty good as far as packaged cornbread goes. I can tell it's made with shortening. I can taste the shortening in it, but overall, it's a good flavor. I think that's gonna work, especially when you mix it in with the chili. I think that's really gonna pop. Next up, let's try our walking around snack, our Festival applesauce with strawberries and bananas. It's just got this little twist top. We've had a conversation about this before. The great thing about these is that you can just kind of squeeze it out. You don't have to use any dishes or anything to eat this with. You can just squeeze it right into your mouth. But then also, when you're done, you can clean out that package if you want to and use it for other things, including a flask for adult beverages. Nobody's going to stop you from bringing applesauce into a music festival, right? Not that I'm encouraging that. It smells like most of the little snacky applesauce pouches. Nothing off-putting or overly wonderful about it, but let's give this a test. Hey, that's not bad. That's pretty decent, in fact. Yeah, I mean, for $1.25 for this big old thing, for that extra little shot of nutrition, a little bit of extra sugar, just something to put on your belly if it starts rumbling, that's good stuff. Try our Nature's Garden pecans. These are baking nuts, as you can see. Now, one of the great things about these baking nuts, as opposed to snack nuts, is that they don't put any salt in these. So if you are one of these people that suffers with issues with sodium, getting these nuts as opposed to buying snack nuts is a pretty good option. You don't have to worry about introducing any extra sodium that you don't need. And honestly, they taste just as good. I personally really like the flavor the pecans have. A little bit of extra salt does bring that out, but once you start adding heavier salt and a bunch of seasonings to it, it just kind of loses its natural flavor. So let's give these a try and see how these baking nuts from Dollar Tree go. Those aren't bad at all. I would totally get that again. But of course, you know we got to do this, right? Yep, I can see going down the trail with this in one hand and the pecans in the other hand, just going back and forth with it. That makes for a happy snack right there. All right, so now we're to the point where we need to try our entree. It's time to get this Hereford chili con carne out of the package and give it a try and see what we ended up with. And then we'll add the rest of our stuff and make us a little cheesy chili pie. 3 servings. What's wrong with these people? Look at this. That's 3 servings in somebody's mind. That's nuts. It smells like canned chili. There's no other way around that. There's no faking it that this is anything other than just canned chili. So let's get this out into the bowl. Hereford, please. That is not 3 servings of chili. Good grief. 10 spoonfuls of chili, maybe? Let's give this stuff a try and see how the chili on its own is. Bottoms up. It's not bad as far as packaged chili goes. It's a little different flavor and texture though than typical canned chili. It's leaning a lot towards the Brunswick stew flavor from that stuff I had in my other video. There's a little sweetness to it, but it's not bad. It's got a decent flavor to it, and I would eat it again for sure. I cannot believe this tiny little portion and the fact that they're saying that's supposed to be 3 servings. So anyway, let's add in our cornbread. I'm just gonna throw these in there. And 2. Let's get into this Velveeta cheese sauce, see how this is. Now I know we're not gonna use every bit of this cheese sauce in this chili. Some of you might, I'm probably not going to. But I do wanna try the cheese sauce by itself first. Let's see what exactly we've got here. It's white. What is up with that? I didn't realize this was gonna be white cheese. I thought this was gonna be yellow cheese. All right, let's give it a taste. Tastes like Velveeta. Not bad at all. Got a little bit of bite from the jalapenos. I think that's going to be a perfect little addition to go in here. I think that's about all I'm going to add though. Given the comically small portion of chili in here, I don't want to overwhelm it with too much cheese. Let's mix it in with the hot chili a little bit so it can start melting down. All right, let's get a bite with a piece of this cornbread, some of the Velveeta and some of the chili. Let's give this a go. Bon appetit. That's a lot of salt. I had no idea that cheese was going to introduce that much salty flavor into this. Mix it up really good. Chop up that cornbread. The cornbread really cuts through that salty flavor a little bit. Makes it a lot more tolerable. I'm really glad I didn't put all of the cheese sauce in here because just the amount of salt in that would have been just inedible. But that cornbread really does help. Let's rinse out some of that salt. Keep in mind that these meals are not intended to be gourmet food. They're not intended to mimic home cooking. They are designed to get you through times when you just don't want to have to do a bunch of food prep, whether you're out on the trail or you're in a blackout or something like that. This is just about simplifying your life. With that comes managing your expectations. You cannot set a super high expectation for these kind of foods, especially when we're buying them someplace like Dollar Tree. So I know there are going to be people that are going to come in the comments talking about how they can't stand that Hereford chili. And that's fine. I'm also going to get comments from people who think that's the best stuff on the planet. There's a taste spectrum when it comes to these things. Some people are good with it. Some people can't stand it. I don't personally like Vienna sausages, but people are constantly telling me I need to add some Vienna sausages into my MREs. If that's what you like, then great. This is all about building these things to your expectations, to your taste, and have the things that you like during times when you've got other things to worry about besides making dinner. So we got one more thing to try. We have our Pampa cherry mixed fruit cocktail. So inside the top, you've got your little spoon mounted in here. It's connected to the top. It's kind of a cool little setup. I like that. And once again, we have the advantage of having a plastic container with a lid. So once we finish the contents here, we've got a container that can be used for other things. Now I'm going to say that this spoon is inadequate. If you look at the size of this container, and the size of these pieces of fruit, I mean, the arm of the spoon doesn't give me anything to hold on to, but not much of a smell. I mean, it's got a fruit cocktail smell to it, but let's get one of these slices of pear. I think that's what this is, a little slice of pear. Let's give it a try. It's good. For fruit cocktail, this is right up there with just about anything else you're gonna get. Let's try a peach. And of course, who doesn't remember this from childhood? I think drinking the juice was the best part. Let's get one of these cherries. That was always my favorite thing in fruit cocktail. That cherry doesn't have any flavor to it. I'm thinking the cherry might actually be a different fruit that's got dye added to it. I've heard fruit cocktail companies will do that. It's not actual cherry. Sometimes it's something else that's been dyed red. Kind of like when you get artificial crab meat. And chase that bite with some of these. Everybody, that's it. We did it. With all the requests that I keep getting for doing more 24-hour MREs, here you go. One of the reasons I don't do this more is, for one, it's hard to do, but also these videos tend to run really long, and I don't want people running away because the video just goes on and on forever. For those of y'all that like to see things like these 24-hour MREs, this was a fun project. I could not believe that I walked into Dollar Tree and found enough stuff to do this. This has been a hoot. I enjoyed doing this. And if I stumble across more places that have a selection like this, I'll bring you more. But that's it for this video. I hope you enjoyed this, and until next time, prepare for the world that you live in, not the one you wish existed. And we'll see you around.